the skateboarding scenes in that movie I didn't get because I've never seen in the show or comics, you know, Spider-Man
Peter being
riding a
an
skateboard.
athlete, yeah.
Yeah, like where'd that come from? Uh, what are your thoughts, Ryan?
Um, I thought Tom Holland did a good job. In terms of where I'd place him, I'd say also probably second. I wasn't too big on Andrew Garfield, more or less for the same reasons. Also because there were a couple scenes where he didn't hide his accent, and that bothered me. Um, and I know a lot of people really like a really young sort of high school Spider-Man. Unfortunately, that's kind of where I disagree a little bit with most people in regards to Tom Holland. I feel like I think I brought this. I don't know if we've ever talked about Civil War or anything, or like I don't either on podcast or off podcast. I don't remember, but
I don't think we ever reviewed Civil War.
Yeah, I feel like Tom Holland, like it seems like they're trying. It was like they were trying to make Spider-Man as young as possible, within reason, which I'm not too big on, because honestly, and I know this is going to be like, what? But Spider-Man's a high schooler. I get that. Thing is, my main exposure to Spider-Man was the animated series, where in that I'm pretty sure he was like, what, like in his early 20s?
Yeah, he was in college.
Yeah, he was in college.
He was in college, and he was a photographer for like, what, the Daily Bugle or something?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I know my Spider-Man, so I prefer a little bit older Spider-Man. I find that a bit more interesting. I understand.
I definitely agree with you there. I prefer college-age Spidey, and I actually did not grow up with college-age Spidey. I grew up with full-blown adult Spidey from fucking the 60s cartoon, so... like,
Well, yeah, I had that too. I mainly rented that. I didn't actually watch it on TV. But, in terms of TV, alright, and I think my main exposure was like the 90s cartoon. I remember with the 60s, the one episode that currently stands out is where he had to fight the lizard and he had a cold.
yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, like going off of what you were saying, like, I grew up with the crowd that sort of knows Spider-Man being a bit older, so honestly, I know this is probably going to be blasphemy to a lot of hardcore comic fans, or pseudo comic fans, depending on how where you anyway. But like I kind of prefer my Spider-Man to be a bit older, at least early 20s. Doesn't have to be like 23 or doesn't even have to be my age, 25. He can be like 20. He can be like right at like the 20 mark. He doesn't have to be like, 26 or whatever. And I imagine as time goes on, because
he has to be 29 exactly, or he's not legit.
He has to be 21 years old because that's the American drinking age. Therefore, he's an adult then. But like, and I imagine they're probably going to keep Tom Holland. I don't know what this is going to mean for Spider-Man, the MCU, and I don't remember who owns Spider-Man. Isn't it Fox or something?
That's
No, Sony. Sony, yeah.
Sony.
You're right.
Yeah.
And wasn't this like a joint thing with Marvel Studios and Sony?
Yeah, and I will say that resulted in one nod I did like, which was at the very beginning they play an orchestral version of the 60s Spider-Man theme song, which I thought was nice.
Yeah,
that was cute. I don't think anyone else in the theater got it except me, though, which made me sad. But
Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Like, what was I gonna say? Like, it definitely feels like, even though mentally I had in my mind, like, oh, Marvel Studios doesn't have Spider-Man, it felt like a MCU quality superhero movie. I guess at this point that's probably not hard to pull off. But, yeah, to get back to the point with the Tom Holland as Spider-Man, I think he's good. I think he's probably going to be even better as time goes on, and he gets older, assuming he stays with the role. Which I think that'd be kind of interesting to see him be like in his 20s or whatever. Which we won't have to wait too long. Just like what 6 years or whatever. We can wait that long. But yeah, that's where I stand. I thought he did a good job, but I generally prefer an older Spider-Man. And I feel like Tom Holland looked a little too young. Just like a smidge.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, though, too, Ryan, because that brings me to my next point, actually, I was going to bring up. Which I'm sure you guys might have noticed, too. Half of this movie is a generic high school teen movie. Like I could literally sum up the plot as, I'm a superhero, but the prom's tomorrow, and that's why it's called fucking Homecoming, by the way. But